So, hi guys, as you can see, myself and John are not on the normal unboxing set, we're on a different one, but as you can see behind us, we've got through some form of sorcery, the What's in the Box logo. What are we looking at today, John?
We are looking at the Flames of War Panzergrenadier set, and this is one of the full plastic kits they've brought out.
They've been doing some great plastics this last while.
The plastics have really improved the quality of Flames of War in general, never mind just the occasional individual bit. This box used to have metal figures and used to have resin cast half-tracks, which oddly came with a little plastic sprue to put the plastic tracks and wheels on.
That's possibly the first stage of them testing it and merging it in, maybe?
Possibly, and it went down very well. Then they did plastic tracks on the tanks, and then they went full plastic kits with this sort of stuff first.
Yes.
So, anything you wish to ask before I open the box?
Well, this brings up something you were discussing with me yesterday evening.
Oh yes, I was frying your brain, wasn't I?
Yes, because John was discussing with me the ins and outs of the codes for different vehicles. He asked me what a G104 was, or GI104, or
G104.
G104. Let's just leave it for everybody at home. Post below, what is a G104?
Yeah, post it below. What is a G104 and what is a G105?
A G105, ah.
Yeah. So, in this box we have 4 SDKF Z251s.
And a mag.
Yeah.
Right.
That was one of the manufacturers.
Right. Let's call a brick in flight a brick in flight.
Well, that's just how you flirt with people, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we did have that actual brick once with the word flirt written on the side. Funny story, ask me if you ever meet me in real life.
Or comment below.
Yeah, but I never really read comments, so yeah.
Right, before we look at the sprues, we'll talk about the contents.
Okay.
So, much like the American one that we did before, we have a couple of infantry sprues which have everything there to make up the platoon.
Yep.
We then have several sprues that make up the crew of the half-tracks.
Yep. So we have 4 sprues for the half-tracks themselves, so I assume 4 sprues for the crews.
Yep. So there's 4 half-track sprues.
Yep.
We have the 2 infantry sprues that are over there, and then we have 4 sprues here for the half-track crews.
Yep.
So where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the crews, perhaps? Or?
Yeah, let's start with the half-track crews, because from there we'll be able to work out what else is happening in the box.
Well, that's a platoon sprue. So okay, we're starting with the platoon sprue. Okay. Apparently.
Well, are they not both the same?
These are both the same. Yeah, these are the platoon sprues. I was talking about the crew sprue.
Apologies.
Can't get the staff these days.
A long day. I've had a lot of sugar.
Yep. So here we have all our lovely German infantry.
Yep.
We have a couple of MG42 gunners there. We have a lot of guys with Panzerfausts, which is nice because this is sort of a mid to late war box set, so you get a lot of Panzerfausts coming in.
Yeah, we've got one little officer on the side there that looks as if he's got a little Luger.
Yep. Now, where is that on the sprue I'm looking at here?
That's this guy here. So
yes.
From the round dot
so from
on
here,
the side, yeah.
Yep. So we have an officer or a sergeant or something like that with a Luger.
Yep. If we look down the bottom, it seems to all be rifles and maybe a couple of MG42s and one MP44.
One MP40.
MP40.
Yes.
Apologies.
One MP40. Most of the other guys there are riflemen, as Justin's pointed out. We've one guy. Well, we have 2 guys carrying. Well, sorry, it's a 2-man crew for this MG42 down here. This guy that's carrying it underslung under his arm, and the guy beside him on the sprue is his ammunition carrier, because MG42s had a 2-man crew or 3-man crew.
Yeah, so you've got those nice belts up and over the shoulders and running down.
Yep.
And then if you flip the sprue upside down, you'll have the same again in the center as another MG42 crew. So this time, one guy's holding it up ready to fire with the poor little mate just carrying both ammo boxes.
Yep.
Must have lost the toss in the morning.
Yep. And then we have the guy right in the center of the sprue, which is throwing a grenade.
Yep, the good old potato masher.
Yep, the Untitled which is over there somewhere in the set.
Yes, yes.
I should have had it.
Yeah, well, we've kind of redubbed that the grenade, because every time Warren gurns, he gets hit with it. Yeah.
Which is always good. We have another MG42 at the top of the sprue. Now, I'm not sure, we haven't looked at the crew sprue yet, but I think, yeah, it's more or less the same model. The crew sprue has one for the actual half-tracks.
Got it.
MG42, so this is a different one.
Yeah.
There's no mount or anything for this guy, so I assume when you go to base them, you would probably put like a little brick wall up or something like that.
Yeah, so just play with the little green stuff?
Yeah, a little green stuff. You can get 15mm bricks.
Really?
Basecrafts.
Right.
Do 15mm red bricks.
Okay, that would be interesting to see.
I will never build a brick wall out of those because I just could not be bothered to sit.
You wouldn't be that patient?
No. I'm not that
I might
patient.
get them from my brother for Christmas. He used to be a brickie.
I would just turn them into a pile of rubble, to be honest with you.
Still, it's whatever you want to do with them. It's giving you that lovely option to be able to go, okay, I'm going to build a beautiful little brick wall, do it perfectly, and then we're just going to put a little bit of burning along the edge of that, make it look as if it's exploded. It would look really fantastic.
If it was done right with a skilled modeler, which I'm not in that regard.
You're better than me.
This table's better than you.
Thanks.
This table has a very nice coat of black on it, and you couldn't have done that.
Okay, moving on. I'm not even going to raise the debate.
Okay. So across the top of the sprue, we have a guy with a Panzerfaust ready to fire.
Mm-hmm.
We have another guy carrying a Panzerfaust, probably going to get ready to fire at some point. Then I have this guy over here who's got the Stahlgranat with 5 other grenade heads wrapped around it.
Yeah, I was actually wondering about that because I looked at it and went, wait, what has he done there?
Yeah.
And there's actually been a rather interesting War Thunder trailer recently where they have something very similar.
Yeah, because the Russians use a very similar style of grenade with the stick on it.
Yeah, instead of it being the pineapple grenade, it's the stick grenade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but no, definitely go check that out, guys, because it is an absolutely amazing trailer.
Yep. So that's more or less what our German infantry is, and the details are nice because some of the guys have got camouflage covering on their helmets, as you'll see. It's modelled on there.
Yeah.
Some of them are wearing their camouflage smocks.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, in reality, you have enough scope with the model to either do them as SS or regular infantry.
Well, that's a nice option to be able to have.
Because the uniforms were more or less the same, except for a few different details here and there, mostly down to what camouflage they wore.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're doing late war, then you can have them wearing the P-dot camouflage suit, which
camouflage suit
is do you know like modern German Flaktarn?
I see.
SS camouflage was basically the forerunner of Flaktarn, and the SS got uniforms made in the same cut as their normal uniform, but in the P-dot camouflage stuff.
Right. Very cool idea.
Yeah, it worked apparently.
Well, I remember you telling me, was there not an American unit that were actually issued with some form of camouflage? But because the Germans were the only ones really to use it, it was assumed that they were German because they could see them in camouflage. No one had said that these guys are going out in camouflage to test this to see if it works. Because of that, it really didn't work.
Yeah. For all you historian buffs out there, you want to check out elements of the 2nd Armoured Division in Normandy just after they landed. They did a trial of a camouflage suit. And as Justin said, none of the neighbouring Allied units have been told that this trial was happening, and they suffered quite a lot of friendly fire incidents. Yes. But there's quite a few photos out there of them actually wearing them in Normandy. So they look very similar to the Pacific camouflage that they wore.
Right.
Like the helmet covers that you see in like even the TV series Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
Looks the same as that. The only difference is that the Normandy camouflage wasn't reversible.
Okay.
The Pacific one is.
I'll assume this is just very, very early experiments with camouflage.
No, because they'd already been using it in the Pacific by Normandy.
Oh right, fair enough.
But they wanted to trial it in the European campaign to see how it worked, and obviously it didn't work that well, and they stopped the trial after 2 or 3 weeks.
I'm guessing the guys in the uniforms were relieved. Thank God I can get back to my olive greens.
Yes, pretty much.
Right, so let's have a look at the main Hanomag sprue.
Yes, the half-track, the SDKFZ 251.
Okay, first thing to note here, I'm seeing 2 sets of track.
Let me see.
There and there.
Ah, yes, now, we will explain that momentarily.
Is this going to be similar to the...
Give me the sprue.
But I want to look at myself while you have it under close camera.
No.
Thanks.
Right, what it seems...
Make life easy, why not? Thank you.
What it seems to be is that the 251 for this box set is the 251D, which is the late war version of the half-track.
Okay.
Now, I'll stick it under close cam and we'll have a look, and I'll point out the differences here if I can remember how to use close cam. Thank you. No. Close enough. So on the back of the 251D, it's just one big counter slope back with 2 flat doors.
Yeah, so it's basically it's coming up from the back bumper and just going flat up at an angle.
At an angle, at about a 45-degree angle.
Okay.
The earlier 251s had what was called a clamshell door.
Okay.
So it went up at an angle, and then halfway up that slope it changed at 90 degrees and went up the other way.
So it came back on itself?
Yeah, it came back on itself.
That would look a lot prettier.
No, I love the
Really?
Ds. I absolutely adore them.
Personal preference.
Now, to point out why the track is different on both sprues, this set of track here, with the stowage bins on them, is the correct piece for the 251D.
Okay.
Because the stowage bins go from all the way at the front, all the way at the back.
Okay.
The early version, which these tracks would be for, the stowage bins were smaller, were shorter.
I see.
And they were bolted on separately, whereas the Ds are built more or less integral into the hull of the vehicle.
I get that.
Which gave it really nice lines. When you see a 251D, if you can put a photo up of one,
I'll have John hunt one down after the last little, shall we say, shambles of me trying to put up something historically accurate.
That JS2 that turned into a that JS3 that turned into a JS2.
Turned out to be a JS, yeah. I wouldn't do well in New Orleans. I get confused a lot.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't do good anywhere, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
So we have some internal detail with the half track. I'll tag along. So we have an internal floor panel, which has the benches, the crew benches already in.
Yeah, and the driver and co-driver seat.
Yep. Moving into the inner hull, we have the stowage bins that run along the inside of the hull. So when this floor is glued in here, that creates the back part of the bench as well as the two stowage bins either side.
Gotcha.
Forward of that's the engine compartment. There's no details there. There's also a 37mm anti-tank gun on the sprue.
Right.
You should, depending on what book you're playing, you'll have options to upgrade one of your half tracks to have a 37mm anti-tank gun.
It's a nice option.
It's a nice option, and it works okay with against light armor, light reconnaissance armor, other half tracks.
Yeah. Probably. So if I see Dr. Dave out and about with his Daimlers, I'll take a pop at them.
Yeah, you take a pop at them, they'll take a pop back at you, and they'll probably kill you before you kill them. But
it gives you the chance to take a strike at them.
Yeah, yeah, more or less. It's more down to covering fire, really, more than anything else. So we'll move along to the other side of the sprue, and obviously we have the tracks there, which we're not going to be using for the late model half track. We have the flat rear doors.
Yep.
We have the shield for the machine gun.
Yep.
Over there. Moving back along here, we have the cross section, which is for the wheels, the front wheels.
Yeah, so that's your front axle.
That's your front axle.
Yeah.
Moving along here, we have a couple of MGs.
32, 42, actually 2 of each, I think.
Yep. So you have, it's down to what gun do you mount on the front and what gun do you mount on the back. The ones here at this end with the brackets, they're for the rear gun, and the ones at the front are for the ones that go into the shield. So there's an MG34 and an MG42 option for both of those positions.
So I assume, again, depending on what time period you're playing, you would put different ones on, or is it just personal preference?
No, you can run a 34 late war if you really want, but mostly it was 42s at that stage.
Okay.
So we'll flip the sprue over and have a look at these two pieces up here.
Yeah, what are these big two flat bits with the ridges on them?
These are bridges.
Bridges?
Yep.
So this carried its own handy little portable bridge.
Yep, the pioneer regiments equipped their half tracks with two small bridging sections.
Right.
Because the pioneers were in front of everybody.
Yeah.
They went forward. They cleared the ground ahead. They would have been your guys that would have done mine clearing, obstacle reconnaissance, all that sort of stuff.
Right. So they're the persod who would be on their belly if there's a minefield ahead of them, with the bayonet out.
Yeah, or a mine detector. Because they did have mine detectors.
Late war or early war, mid war? Where?
Mid to late war, there was mine detectors. There was plenty of that equipment out there. But yeah, these are little bridging sections that they would put across like a little...
So if there's a little ditch or something?
If they ran into a ditch or something like that, they'd throw those across and drive across them.
Yeah.
But it was really only the pioneers that were equipped with those.
Yeah. So again, depending on what you're playing with the box, you'll use those or not.
And the final little section... this stupid close cam. There we go. This little plate here, I believe, is the gun shield for the 37mm.
Got it.
I think anyway, it certainly looks like it.
Well, it'll be one or the other, and again, I'm sure if you get closer in... Well, actually, yeah, if you look at this, it's got a little mounting point on the side here.
Yeah, so that must be
which shows where the little half shield would go instead of the full shield.
Yep. And the last piece on here is the upper hull. And that is the distinctive look of a German half-track.
That's the iconic face of it.
Yeah. I absolutely love the look of German half-tracks. I like American half-tracks, but when you see a German one, there's something more mean about it. It's got more of a presence when you see them. All those nice low sloped angles and everything, you know.
Yeah.
They say the Russians came up with sloped armor, but I think that would have worked well had the armor been a bit thicker. Yeah,
but it's all well and good saying, what if? You know,
yeah, there's plenty of what if.
I can introduce you to Weird World War if you like, John.
No. Not my thing.
Right, so last sprue we have is the crew sprue.
Yep. So you want to stick that under close cam, see if you can work it better than I can.
Yep, so there we go.
So we have our crew.
So on the bottom we have one guy with an MG42.
Yep.
We have a little officer on the far side here.
Yep.
And if we flip things over, I'll assume these are guys who could just be sitting inside the back.
They'll be sitting in the back, and then the last guy is the driver.
Yeah, who's down on...
Has no legs.
Yeah. Do you even see the driver whenever this is all built?
You'll see the back of his head and his shoulders. Yeah, so he is in there. Like, if you want to go in and really detail the work, yeah.
Yeah, but I assume it's an optional piece. You can or can't as you will.
Well, I would put him in anyway.
Oh, fair enough.
I wouldn't necessarily paint him that well. I would probably just stick a bit of colour in there just to make it look like he's there.
Yeah, so basically just catch the highest points before the light would just about touch him?
Yeah, pretty much. Well,
I mean, it's a really, really nice little kit. It's really handy. It looks like it's going to be an absolute dream to put together. You know, really straightforward, really clean. I don't know really what else to say. Is there anything surprising or something obscure that we wouldn't know about it?
It depends what you want to talk about. I mean, you want to talk about more about the half-track?
Gone ahead. You know, if there's something that the people out there on BC4 just must know from the tank god. Although I suppose this isn't a tank.
Not a tank, no.
Not a tank, no.
It's an armoured fighting vehicle.
Yes.
Technically.
Yes, which always confused me whenever I was first looking at the Flames of War website. Going from SPG, FE, things like that.
Yeah.
It always confused me to start with.
Right. One thing then about the half-track, the German half-track.
Right.
At one point in their life, with a certain, I think maybe there was a couple of divisions that were equipped with them, they carried 3 flamethrowers.
I think you could actually get those in Flames of War. I know Dr. Dave mentioned them on Flames of War for the one a while back, and it just sounded horrendous. In
the field, they were horrendously bad.
Right.
Because no one in their right mind is going to go near a row of these things with a bunch of flamethrowers going off on them. Also, who's going to be mad enough to command a unit of these things driving towards an emplacement going, there's no problem, my 1/4-inch thick steel will protect me against that T-34.
Fair enough.
But yeah, flamethrowers were equipped on them, and they were terrifying when they were used properly.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I think the Americans used them in the Pacific Theater, didn't they? Mounted onto Shermans with a little trailer on the back to pull the fuel.
Yeah.
And it just sounded horrendous, but the fighting there kind of required it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, simply because it was such a dug-in enemy. You know, burn the hole, the enemy's gone, but...
The other thing about the 251 half-track, the Czechoslovakians copied it after the war.
Yes, this is how you can actually own one of these today.
If you can find one, and the one I was looking at is no longer for sale.
Oh dear.
Which is really annoying.
Yes.
You can have a Czechoslovakian OT-810, which was built by the Czechoslovakian army under license after the Second World War.
Yep.
And they look identical to a 251 except for a couple of details in the track and the running gear. But there's been a lot of people that cut them up and turn them into the late war Ds and all that sort of stuff. What's also nice about the half-track is, with the German one, you can put nearly any gun on it and it'll be historically accurate to an extent.
What, they just had so many options?
They've had Pak 40 75mm anti-tank guns mounted on them.
Okay, that'll be interesting.
They've mounted a triple gun system of 3 30mm chain-fed guns for anti-aircraft.
Okay, this is starting to sound a little bit Mad Max.
Yeah, they then did something where they merged the Nebelwerfer and the half-track.
A screaming Mimi.
Yeah, moaning Mimi. They
sorry,
they merged it into something called the Panzerwerfer.
Panzerwerfer,
which literally translated means tank thrower.
I love some of the names for the German stuff
because Nebelwerfer is smoke thrower.
Yeah.
Because of the huge smoke trails that it fired.
Yeah.
What else have they put on them that was crazy? They turned them into something called the Stücke zu Fuss.
Stücke zu Fuss.
And this was an absolutely crazy modification where they had these giant rocket-propelled things that were about the size of a gas cylinder, like a home gas cylinder.
Right.
Full of explosive and a rocket charge behind it.
Right.
What they did with the 251 is they built a frame to go down either side.
Right.
That mounted 3 on each side.
I think I've seen these.
Yeah, and they didn't take them out of the packing crates. They loaded the packing crate onto the side of the half-track, wired it up, and it was as ready to fire as anything. There's pictures of these things firing, and it is terrifying because the thing moves so slowly. When the guy took the photograph, it looked like a dustbin in mid-flight coming off the side of this thing.
So it's just this big, giant-ass heavy bomb.
Yeah.
So it'll maybe travel about, what, 30 feet?
Well, no, you're looking at maybe a couple of 100 to 300 meters.
Okay. No. If it was something insanely short, like 20 to 30 feet, you wouldn't fire it because you blow your own ass up.
Yeah, exactly. That's why the Sturm Tiger was useless.
Okay. Right, anyway, guys, that is the Panzergrenadiers for Flames of War. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. Hopefully you've enjoyed myself and John rambling.
Can I stop you a second?
Okay.
It also comes with transfers.
Can I close the show now?
You can close the show now.
All right, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed that. Drop us a comment below. Have we got anything wrong? Do you want to shout at John for perhaps your favourite version of the Hanomag that he has missed? And we'll see you again soon.